do you feel about the vaccines?
Here we go.
You're all for it?
What about childhood vaccines?
Sorry. Are you all for the polio vaccine? RFK Jr. has just walked in, and he is walking through the mags right now, getting a security sweeping before he heads inside the Hart Senate office building to meet with Senator Rick Scott.
He's looking good. A lot of media there in the White House, or in the Capitol building, rather. And he's going to be meeting with a bunch of people.
On vaccines, do you want RFK Jr. to revoke any vaccine?
No, I want him to come back with a report as to what he thinks.
RFK Jr. makes his way to Congress and on Capitol Hill. He is swarmed by everybody who wants to see what the new MAHA is all about. And we also saw that President Trump got a bunch of questions about vaccines and jabs, and a lot of people are really nervous about this. In fact, during the press conference, perhaps the most hysterical questions, or the most hysterical sounding questions that we got, were about RFK and about vaccines. Are you going to get rid of the polio vaccine? What's he going to do? Freaking out. Probably because a lot of their ad revenue comes from the big pharma bros. But here is what the scene looked like when RFK Jr. appeared in Washington.
How do you feel about the vaccines?
Here we go.
You're all for it?
What about childhood vaccines?
Sorry. Are you all for the polio vaccine? Mr. Kennedy, what is your view on abortion?
You still believe that childhood autism...
Mr. Kennedy, are you pro-choice? Mr. Kennedy, what's your views on American farming? What would you like to change? Mr. Kennedy, what's your priority for the first couple of days?
Do you think autism is linked to vaccines?
Do you support school mandates, Mr. Kennedy?
So many good questions.
School mandates for
It's their
vaccines.
job to ask questions,
Mr. Kennedy,
right?
are you going to revoke any vaccine?
Hey, you guys be careful. Watch out.
All right, now here is RFK coming in and going through
You
security.
can see a live look right there. RFK Jr. has just walked in, and he is walking through the mags right now, getting a security sweeping before he heads inside the Hart Senate office building to meet with Senator Rick Scott. Again, a lot of questions that Republicans have, some conservative Republicans, about abortion. You can see a live look right there. RFK Jr. has just walked in, and he is...
All right, looking good, coming through security. Here's a close-up. You can see he's looking good. A lot of media there in the White House, or in the Capitol building, rather. And he's going to be meeting with a bunch of people. Now, that has happened. He has met with people. And Senator Ron Johnson is explaining his position on RFK Jr. And here's what he says.
President Trump commented on vaccines today, and he thinks RFK Jr. is actually not as, extremist as he's being painted to be, but that he's actually very common sense.
Bobby Kennedy is, first of all, very intelligent, very science-based. And these are lies. This is misinformation spread by the corporate interests. Listen, I come from the private sector. I have no problem with the big business. I've got a problem with big business like Big Pharma. They use their power to capture agencies to the detriment of their competitors and the American public and the American consumer. So that's all Bobby Kennedy represents, is trying to restore integrity to our scientific research, making sure that all of our decisions are data-based, and that we really return government to representing people and not the corporate interests that have literally captured them. So I know Bobby Kennedy represents a threat to those corrupt individuals that have captured these agencies.
All right, so good statement from Senator Ron Johnson. Of course, he's referencing this clip. You can see somebody was asking him about the vaccines during his presser.
Two quick questions. First, on vaccines, do you want RFK Jr. to revoke any vaccine?
No, I want him to come back with a report as to what he thinks. We're going to find out a lot. We're doing two things. We're going to have tremendous cost savings will come out of this. That's a minimum. And we're also going to have, and I think, very serious discussions about certain things, whether it's pesticides. Europe doesn't use pesticides, and yet they have a better mortality rate than we do. They don't use pesticides. In fact, they use it as an excuse not to take our farm product.
Don't want our dirty crap food. It's only good for us.
Billions and billions of dollars on pesticides. And something bad's happening. Again, you take a look at autism today versus 20, 25 years ago. It's like not even believable.
That was the president. Now, we also have another senator who came out. Senator Rick Scott was also responding to his time with RFK Jr.
A great meeting with Robert Kennedy. I really appreciate his message. As you know, I used to be in the hospital business. I think it's great to have an HH secretary that is going to focus on the health of America, which is the most important thing we ought to do. I think for all of us, what we're thinking about is how do we stay healthy every day? And finally, we're going to have an HH secretary that wakes up every day and says, how do we keep everybody healthy in this country? He's going to have a lot of opportunity to do that. I'm completely supportive of what he wants to accomplish, and I wish him the best of luck.
Great. Okay, so maybe we'll talk about health and fitness and wellness, and it's not just going to be about taking shots in massive quantities from pharmaceutical companies. Now, also RFK Jr. was out. He said they had very productive meetings today.
Hi, Mr. Kennedy. Can you tell us anything about your meetings today with senators? How are they going? Have they been productive?
Very productive.
Very productive?
Very productive meeting. That's good from RFK Jr. And people are getting on board. Remember, there's a conversation about this shift that's happening, and Trump even himself mentioned this at the presser, said, it's strange. Like my personality changed or something. Now all of a sudden people like me. They're calling me. They want to hang out and be friends again. Whereas in 2016, 2020, that was not the case.